Hey there, trail trekkers and tall tale seekers. You're tuned in to the 406 Life, the podcast where Montana Max, your Bigfoot buddy and outlaw gear mascot, yeah, that's me, leads you through the wild, weird, and wonderful corners of Montana. Each week we share stories, legends, and laughs from the last best place. So grab your boots and sense of adventure, because we're about to make some Montana-sized memories. This episode's powered by Outlaw Gear, where rebels get their style. Want to look legendary? Mosey over to I'mAnOutlaw.com and claim your outlaw status. There are places in Montana where the quiet hits different. Not the kind of quiet you get when the wind dies down or the birds stop singing. Something deeper than that. The kind that settles into your chest and stays there. If you've ever stood at a grave marker, really stood there, not just walked past, you know what I'm talking about. This time of year, that feeling finds me whether I'm looking for it or not. My name is Montana Max, and this is the 406 Life. Today we're talking about Memorial Day. Not the cookouts, not the long weekend. The real thing. The reason this day exists. And why, if you live in Montana, it ought to mean something personal to you. Let's start with a number. Montana has roughly 104 veterans for every 1,000 civilian adults in this state. That puts us third in the nation for veteran concentration, behind only Alaska. We're talking about nearly 86,000 veterans living among us right now, people who served, people who came home, and behind every one of them is someone who didn't. Memorial Day belongs to those people, the ones who didn't come home. It started after the Civil War, the deadliest conflict this country has ever fought. Families were scattered, towns were hollowed out, and people needed a way to grieve together. So they started decorating graves with flowers in the spring, when things were blooming again. They called it Decoration Day. Over time, it grew into what we observe now, a day set aside to honor every American service member who gave their life in uniform, not to celebrate them in a cheerful way, to remember them, to carry them forward. That distinction matters. Armed Forces Day honors those currently serving. Veterans Day honors all who have served. Memorial Day is for the ones who made the final sacrifice. 3 different days, 3 different purposes. All 3 deserve our attention, but this one asks the most of us. Because remembering loss is harder than celebrating service. It costs something. Montana's military history is not abstract. It's not something you read about in a textbook and file away. It happened here. It was trained here. It bled here. And it bled far from here, in places that had no business taking the sons and daughters of this state. During World War II, one of the most elite commando units in American military history was built right outside of Helena. The 1st Special Service Force, what the Germans came to call the Devil's Brigade. They were a joint American and Canadian unit, selected for their toughness, hunters, lumberjacks. Men who already understood cold and terrain and hard work before the Army ever got a hold of them. They trained at Fort William Henry Harrison, parachute jumps, mountain warfare, winter operations. And when they were deployed to Italy, they were sent to do what conventional forces had failed to do, clear the Nazi positions off the cliffs of Monte la Defensa, a steep, icy mountain that had already broken other Allied units. They did it, and the cost was devastating. In 251 days of combat, the 1st Special Service Force suffered more than 2,300 casualties. That number represented 134% of their original combat strength. They cycled through replacements so fast that the losses outpaced the head count they started with. Those men trained in Montana soil, and a great many of them never came back to it. The 163rd Infantry Regiment tells a different story, same weight, These were National Guard soldiers from Montana towns, ranch hands, miners, farm boys, deployed to the Pacific Theater, to the jungles of Papua New Guinea, where they fought at a place called Sanananda in January of 1943. If you've never heard of Sanananda, it's worth a few minutes of your time. The terrain was swamp. The enemy was deeply entrenched and refused to give ground. And the environment itself was a threat. Malaria, dysentery, tropical disease tearing through the ranks alongside enemy fire. One company, Company B, entered that battle with 187 men. They came out with 21 who could still fight. 97 soldiers from the 163rd were killed at Sanananda. 215 were wounded. And those numbers don't include the hundreds more who were carried out sick. What they accomplished there, defeating Imperial Japanese forces in land combat, was a first for American troops in that war. And the regiment included more than 230 Native American soldiers representing 8 tribal nations. Many of them served as code talkers, using their languages to transmit classified communications the enemy couldn't crack. That contribution was classified for decades. The men who made it came home to silence about something that deserved recognition. Montana gave a great deal to this country. It's been doing it for a long time. Across the state right now, there are 4 veterans' cemeteries maintained by the Montana Department of Military Affairs. Fort Harrison near Helena, Missoula, Miles City, Columbia Falls. Veterans buried there received their plot, their headstone, and perpetual care at no cost to the family. The state absorbs that because it understands what's owed. If you've walked through one of those cemeteries, or any veteran's cemetery, you may have noticed coins resting on headstones. That's not carelessness, that's intention. The tradition has roots going back centuries, but it took hold in American military culture during the Vietnam era, when the political climate made it painful for veterans to speak directly to the families of the fallen. Leaving a coin was a way of saying something real without words. A penny means you stopped and paid your respects. A nickel means you trained together. A dime means you served alongside them at some point. A quarter means you were present when they died. That last one. Think about what it takes to leave a quarter on a headstone, to walk up to that marker and place that coin and walk away carrying what you're carrying. The coins are collected monthly by cemetery staff. Every cent goes back into the grounds. Maintenance, upkeep, burial costs for veterans who have no one left to pay for them. Even in death, they take care of each other. This Memorial Day, 2026. Montana communities across the state are gathering to honor their fallen. Missoula is marking its 100th consecutive wreath ceremony, 100 years of showing up. The ceremonies there run from sunrise at the Western Montana State Veterans Cemetery all the way through the afternoon, moving through bridges, courthouse lawns, old military cemeteries, and finally to the Iraq-Afghanistan War Memorial on the University of Montana campus. At noon, a historic aircraft will fly over and drop a parachute flag into the cemetery grounds. In Great Falls, the Montana Veterans Memorial Association is hosting its 21st annual ceremony at Memorial Plaza. The Great Falls Municipal Band will perform. There will be a flyover by a C-130 Hercules from the Montana Air National Guard, a keynote from military leadership, and a separate service at the Great Falls Freedom Memorial honoring the 6 residents of that city who died on September 11th, 2001. In the Flathead Valley, veterans organizations will run a full day of sequential ceremonies, moving from cemetery to cemetery, community to community, because the Flathead has too many people worth honoring to do it in one place. And in Bozeman, Sunset Hills Cemetery will unveil Montana's first Gold Star Families Monument. That's a monument for the families, the mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, children, who carry the loss long after the flag is folded and the ceremony ends. That will be the first Gold Star Families Monument in Montana, and the 100th such monument erected anywhere in the nation. Smaller communities are gathering too. East Helena, Libby, Ferndale, Whitefish, Troy, communities that don't make headlines but understand completely what this day is for. I want to say something directly, and I want to say it plainly. The people this day is for, the ones whose names are on those headstones, on those monuments, on those walls, they were young. Most of them were very young. They had things they wanted to do, places they wanted to see, people they loved and planned to come back to. They didn't get to do those things. They gave up every version of the future they might have had, and they did it so that the rest of us could have ours. That is not a small thing. That is not something that should get lost in a weekend. I don't care if you cook out on Memorial Day. I don't care if you go to the lake or take a drive through the mountains. Montana is beautiful this time of year, and enjoying it is not disrespectful. But take a moment. Find a real moment somewhere in that day. Stand still. Think of someone specific if you can, a veteran you knew, a name on a wall, a story you heard once that stayed with you. If you don't know a specific name, just hold the weight of what it means that someone, a lot of someone's, made a choice that cost them everything. That moment costs you nothing. Give it freely. And if you want to do more than that, find a ceremony near you. They are happening across this state all day long. Show up, stand in the crowd, let the rifle salute land in your chest. Listen to taps and don't look away. Montana knows how to honor its people. We've been doing it for over 100 years. This weekend is no different. Thank you for spending this time with me today. It means something that you're here, listening, that you're willing to sit with a subject that's heavy and important and easy to skip past. If this episode mattered to you, please take 30 seconds and leave a rating and a review wherever you're listening. It's the single best thing you can do to help other people find this show. More listeners means more Montanans having this conversation, and that's worth something. The full blog post behind this episode is waiting for you at the406life.com. Everything we talked about today is there. The history, the ceremonies, the coin tradition, the cemetery information, all of it. Go read it. Share it with someone who needs to see it this weekend. My name is Montana Max. This has been the 406 Life. Honor them well. Got a Montana story, business, or unsolved mystery you want on the show? Head to the406life.com and drop me a line. No smoke signals required. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss a stomp, stumble, or tall tale. Tell your friends, tell your grandma, heck, tell that guy who swears he saw me near Whitefish. I was just buying donuts, all right? Until next time, keep it outrageous, keep it kind, and keep living the 406 life. Montana Max, over and out.
That's the 406 Life!